welcomes, and now I'm going to do a short presentation just on things about the law school, the process, and the community. So we have an academic program that allows students to attend at any time possible. So you can go full-time in 3 years, you can go part-time during the day or part-time in the evening, which would take 4 years. So being in a major city, we have people that have other commitments that they want to go to law school, and our program allows that. We have students from all over the country in our full-time day program. And as you probably know, most law schools have a similar curriculum in the first year, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Okay, we have some joint degree programs. We have a vision at Duquesne that there are some things that are very important for law students in addition to what you're already going to get. So interdisciplinary programming is very important to us. So that's done in a variety of ways, starting with the joint degree programs. I will be honest and say not many students will pursue the whole joint degree program, but they may reach out and take some courses in particular areas of interest to them, but we do have these available. The JD-MBA obviously is the most popular one. For students who are part of one of our partner schools, and there are many of them, we do have a 3-3 early admissions program. And I always say, if you are interested in that and you are in a partner school, contact me directly and we'll start to work on what you need to do for that program. Okay, location. Can't overstate this. So we have a fantastic location in the city of Pittsburgh. But if you haven't been to Pittsburgh, what you'll understand is that it's a very hilly area. So we're up on the bluff. Location is so important. When you go to a law school, you're part of the law school community, you're in your classes, you have your faculty and everything, but you are also part of the legal community in that local area. The American Bar Association requires that students take 6 credits of practical training. So how do you get that? Well, if you're at a place like Duquesne, you walk out of the building, a couple of blocks down the street, and there's your practical landscape. So we had talked earlier about all the things that our current students are doing. And in the first year, you only take your classes. And most students feel like that's plenty. But something miraculous, something magical happens by the end of that first year where you're able to take on a lot of different things like part-time work and leadership in organizations and becoming part of the local bar association and many, many different things. So you get that grounding in the first year. But after that, you need what we have to offer in this location. And so when the students are answering your questions, I'm sure that will come up over and over again. We are close to all the courts, both federal, state, local, all of those. Many of our students participate in the DA's office and the public defender's office and many, many clinics that we have. And the location is advantageous to that. It just makes things so easy for us. Okay. There's our landscape, our skyline. It's beautiful. We are said to have, we're a city with an entrance. So if you've come through the Fort Pitt tunnels and see Pittsburgh for the first time, it's quite startling. If you don't have that experience, you can watch Perks of Being a Wallflower. They do that and you see it at night. So we have this beautiful 60-acre campus right here in the middle of downtown. We have been rated as the best place to move after college, and it's for a variety of reasons. They talk about things like affordable housing and other things, that career opportunities being so available in Pittsburgh. And we've also got best place to start a career. These were both this year announced. So we have lots of things going for us in Pittsburgh, and you become part of that community too. We are a city of neighborhoods, 90 plus neighborhoods. It's easy to use public transportation here and make your way around. It's a very negotiable city, very friendly. We have job opportunities, affordability, and livability for young people. We have many, many colleges and universities in the greater Pittsburgh area. So it brings a vibrant young population into our city each year. Okay. So why Duquesne? We recently had a meeting with our marketing team at the university, and they said, we want to do some new things with you, but the only thing you can't talk about is community. Well, after they talked to us and interviewed us and we discussed things and they talked to our students, they said, okay, community's back on the table because there's something special going on at Duquesne. When you get to Duquesne Law School, you're going to have a lot of challenges with the coursework and many other things and the volume of work, but you will feel support from your classmates, from the faculty, from the staff, from the greater university community, and you'll need that support. We try to foster an atmosphere of healthy competition. Lawyers are competitive. You're going to compete with yourself to do your best. But we want you to know that people sitting side by side with you are going to be there for you when you need them. And everybody comes to that point at some time where they say, I need a little help with something, or I could use some support in a particular area. And you will have lots of that at a school like Duquesne. Students, I'm sure, will talk about that later. As a school with a mission, we are founded by the Spiritans. And so we have a mission that from the start, we wanted to serve the underserved, to provide an education to those who were not given access. And this started for the law school back in 1911. So for over 100 years, we've been providing something to people in Pittsburgh and across the country that is very valuable. We do focus on community connections. Through our clinics, our students work in our community, providing countless hours of service to the local community. And we have a focus on ethics. So we want to make sure that the lawyers that we are graduating understand what it's like to have that ethical bent to everything that they're doing in the profession. Okay, why Duquesne? So the urban location can't be beat. If you'd like to visit us, we'd love to have you. We're open for business again. We're all back in school. We also, again, because of the location, have great clinical and externship and fellowship programs. We're small. Keegan mentioned that. We have an 8-to-1 student-faculty ratio. I tell students, as soon as you get there, get to know your faculty. Go in and introduce yourself, because these are going to be people that are in your life for many years, and they'll be colleagues, and they see you that way. They see you starting to become a professional, and there's so much more outside the class that they have to offer. We have a nationally recognized trial advocacy program. And even for students who don't want to do litigation, it can be a wonderful experience. The ultimate bar pass rate of 93.3% puts us in the top third of all law schools nationally. The ultimate bar pass is something that the American Bar Association requires all law schools to calculate. So they'd ask us to follow a graduating class for 2 years and then report on what the bar pass rate is. We exceed all expectations in this area. And every time this comes out, we get calls from our colleagues around the country saying, what's the secret sauce? What are you guys doing there? Because your students perform so well. Well, we know that the outcomes are important. That's how, if you pass the bar, then you move on. The job that you've been offered, you can continue with that and your career starts. So we're very critically aware of that. So from the first year, we're starting to do things to help you prepare for that. So outcomes matter. Okay, employment. This is another area. There are many, many areas where you can seek employment. And so I wanted to show you the categories. Obviously law firms, going from solo practitioners up to big law, that's the largest area. But when you see it's 58%, there are many different areas. So we see people going into business and industry, government. Judicial clerkships are very popular to do. It's a great experience to do the first year after you graduated from law school. Public interest. So many students in your group are interested in doing public service. A few students will go on for further education. And we can talk more about the public service and some things that we do to encourage your ability to be able to pursue public service. We get an A ranking for employment. Again, our bar studies program gives us a ranking of 6th nationally for bar passage, and that's ranked by Pre-Law Magazine. And again, that is based on predictive outcomes and us outperforming those. So these are things that will matter to you. These are things that you should be comparing from law school to law school. When you are looking at law schools, you want to look at the 509 reports that are available from the ABA, because that's comparing apples to apples. Okay. Comprehensive bar studies, we have full-time faculty working on that. We also have, and I love this part of it, we have alumni mentoring. And so you'll work with somebody that can help you, and typically they're younger alumni that have just gone through this process, and so they can help you. We know from the studies that we've done about our bar studies program, if you do 75% of what our bar studies recommends, you're going to pass the bar exam. In the third year, we also have core competencies where you can refresh on those first year courses, which it seems like it's a decade ago that you took contracts and property and torts. So you can refresh on those so that when you move into your formal bar studies program that Melanie was talking about, that you're prepared and it's all fresh in your mind. At Duquesne, we like to say, do well, do good, Duquesne. We have 8,000 alumni around the country. We will put you in touch with those alumni. So you're going to work with our career services office from the first year. Maria Comas wants to get to know you, wants to help you work on your resume, and wants to help you make the connections. The stories I love about Maria are, she runs into a student in the hall, they chat about something, and then a week later, she contacts the students and says, hey, you mentioned that you were interested in a clerkship. I've just found one, and I think you should apply for this. Come on in and talk about it. And students are like, that wasn't even a formal program, but that's how diligent and committed Maria is to the success of our students. Okay, so the application process. So you're, for those of you applying for fall of 2022, you're using the common application that's available through Law School Admissions Council. And so there are things that you'll do for every school. And then the work begins, because you have to figure out what each school is looking for. And so each school might have some different things that they ask for, different requirements for letters of recommendation, different essays, different questions on the application, that kind of thing. So I'll just quickly run through what we're looking for. We always say take the LSAT twice. And the reason is you may get a fine score the first time, but the second time you take it, if you prepare a little differently, you may up your score. That could mean thousands of dollars in scholarship that you would have left on the table had you not retaken it. We take the highest score that you receive, so definitely plan. You have enough time to plan to take the LSAT twice. We want to look at your college transcripts. We're going to look at everything. So a number of you are obviously out of school already, or you're doing graduate work. That all matters to us. The person that you're bringing to our law school is the person you are today, not the person that graduated from college 5 years ago or whatever. So we don't make a distinction and say, okay, LSAC only calculates the undergrad GPA. We won't look at anything else. We're looking at everything because that's what you're bringing to us. The resume, you want to make it a professional resume. And if you can keep it to 1 or 2 pages, that's great. We require 1 recommendation, but you can submit up to 3. I would submit 3. I would never leave an opportunity untaken like that. Just be very careful about who you ask to recommend you. Make sure they want to recommend you, make sure they know you well enough, and make sure they're going to give you a good recommendation. You can coach them on what they need to say. So you want to provide them with a resume, or if you're going, you have to go back and get a faculty member from a few years ago, give them something to go on. Make it easy for them to write a strong letter for you. We have a couple optional essays. We've developed these over the years because we always had 1 personal statement, and it's going to be pretty similar from school to school, but we would have the Why Duquesne essay. And so you're here today learning about us, so you certainly have something to say about that. We've added some questions that will allow you to inform us about things that we would end up having questions on. So, we'd read an application and would say, I wonder about this or that with this particular student. It would have been so nice if they had a chance to tell us about things like leadership, which comes in many shapes and sizes. If I talk to a student and they say, oh, I don't have leadership, I was never elected to anything. We start to dig into that, and it becomes clear to me that, yeah, you were a leader. Maybe it was unofficial. Maybe you were the one that stepped up in that group, or maybe when you were doing some kind of volunteer work, you ended up, forging ahead and creating something. Leadership comes in many forms. Diversity. We want to know what you're going to add to the community at the law school. The more diverse the class is, the better. And the faculty will tell you that all the time, because they will get to know you and they'll start to pull out those things in class and use your experiences and your background to inform other students in the class. In our evening class, it's a totally different experience because pretty much 100% of the people in the evening class are working full time. And so they may be very accomplished in whatever career they're in. Well, then the faculty are going to look to them and say, what do you think about what we're talking about today? So we want to know about that. Overcoming obstacles is one of my favorites. Every student is going to struggle with something in law school. The last thing I want is to worry that you're going to say, this is hard, I quit. So if you've had to overcome something and you've learned how to persevere and to fail and get up and go on again, that's going to help you in law school and in life generally. So I want you to come with those coping skills and not expect this to be easy. I have never met a student who said law school was so much easier than I thought it would be. It was more work. It was harder just because of the volume of work. And so, we want to know that you have something internal that's going to help you to succeed. So that's what we're looking for. So the application review process. So how do we do this? We will look at everything. So this team of 3 here, we read the applications first, and then it will go to the faculty committee. So we've published the profile here just to let you know what the class looked like that came in this year. But I can't point to any particular person and say, oh yeah, they were the 155 and the 3.72. These are stats. We put them out there. We have to. So they're somewhat informative, but we don't use a cutoff. Sometimes we'll have splitters, students that have high in one area, lower in another, but we see something that tells us, okay, they answer the question in the application. Will you succeed at this particular law school? Will you succeed in this career? And if we can get to a yes answer on that, then you have a very good chance of being admitted. Financial aid. This is at the top of everybody's list. So when we survey our 1Ls when they arrive, we say, what was most important to you throughout this process? Scholarship. So, it's always nice to get an admission decision. Hey, you got admitted somewhere. And then you immediately think, well, how am I going to pay for this? So at Duquesne, we have a variety of things that we do. And one of them is when you are admitted, we will review you for scholarship immediately. So there won't be a lag. So if you are going to receive a merit scholarship from us, you're going to get that very quickly, right after the letter of acceptance goes out. Because to me, those things work in tandem. You have to have both pieces of information. So what other things are available? So beyond the merit scholarship that we can provide based on your application for admission, there are loans. So we have scholarships, merit, and then we do have some endowed scholarships that we let our admitted students know about. But primarily you're looking at the merit scholarship, and then you're looking at loans. So most students do take some form of loan out during their law school experience. You would do the FAFSA if you want to do a loan, but it's different than what you've done as an undergrad. It's much easier. And then you would be looking at, if you need beyond what you can get with the Stafford, the Grad Plus loan, then you'd be looking at some other loans to cover that. You'd also can look at outside scholarships. If you bring some outside scholarships, a lot of students will cobble together, a couple of different things, and that might pay for your books, which can be a couple $1,000s. So if a student is in the program, I'd just like to mention this here, and let's say after the summer and after the first year, they want to work in public service and they won't get paid for that. They can apply for a stipend for that summer that we have at the law school in order to help you get through that summer when you're not being paid. As a graduate, the LRAP program, Loan Repayment Assistance Program, you can apply if you're working in public interest, and we'll help pay back your loans. And so we do that every year for a variety of our alumni. So I like to demystify, financial aid. It's pretty much scholarships and loans. This year is going to be an interesting year. And I'm telling students, you need to apply early. You have the best chance at being admitted and the best chance at receiving the maximum scholarship that you're eligible for. Most of you know that last year was a crazy year. The number of applications nationally went way up. We experienced the same thing. And the quality had increased too. So we'll talk a little bit about the LSAT later, but you want to make sure that you're not diminishing your chance of admission and scholarship because you file a late application. So you're here today. That's the beauty of this. Obviously you're going to get things done a bit earlier. And so that's going to give you a leg up on other students who might procrastinate and not apply until after the new year. So when to apply? We already have applications in. I am reading them. I can't help myself. When I see an application, I have to know what's in there. But we'll start sending out letters of acceptance after Thanksgiving. And again, scholarships will follow soon after that. So I would make that my deadline to apply, get it in by Thanksgiving. Okay, you can reach out to us at any time, and here's our contact information. Lawadmissions@duq.edu is the easiest way to contact us. We all monitor that.